begin. Let us see what are the relations subsisting between the Negro and the state and national governments. What support, what assistance he has received from either of them. To take his relations with the national government, and we shall find him a deserted, a defrauded, a swindled, and an outcast man. In law, free, in fact, a slave. In law, a citizen, in fact, an alien. In fact, in law, voter, in fact, a disenfranchised man. In law, his color is no crime. In fact, his color exposes him to be treated as a criminal. Toward him, every attribute of a just government is contradicted. For him, it is not a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Toward him, it abandons the beneficent character of a government and all that gives a government the right to exist. The true object for which governments are ordained among men is to protect the weak against the encroachments of the strong, to hold its strong arm of justice over all the civil relations of its citizens, and to see that all have an equal chance in the race of life. Now, in the case of the Negro citizen, our national government does precisely the reverse of all this. Instead of protecting the weak against the encroachments of the strong, it tacitly protects the strong in its encroachments upon the weak. When the colored citizens of the South point to the 14th and 15th Amendments of the Constitution for the protection of their civil and political rights, the Supreme Court of the United States turns them out of court and tells them that they must look for justice at the hands of the states, well knowing that those states are, in effect, the very parties that deny them justice. Thus is the Negro citizen swindled. The government professes to give him citizenship and silently permits him to be divested of every attribute of citizenship, and demands allegiance, but denies protection. It taxes him as a citizen in peace, and compels him to bear arms and meet bullets in war. It imposes upon him all the burdens of citizenship, and withholds from him all its benefits. I know it's said that the general government is a government of limited powers. It is also once said that the national government could not coerce a state, and it is generally said that this and that public measure is unconstitutional. But whenever an administration has the bad will to do anything, it has generally found constitutional power to do it. If the general government had the power to make black men citizens, it has the power to protect them in that citizenship. If it had the right to make them voters, it has the right to protect them in the exercise of the elective franchise. If it has this right and refuses to exercise it, it is a traitor to the citizen. If it has not this right, it is destitute of the fundamental quality of a government, and ought to be hissed and hurried out of the sisterhood of government, a usurper, a sham, a delusion, and a snare. On the other hand, if the fault is not in the structure of the government, but in the treachery and indifference of those who administer it, the American people owe it to themselves, owe it to the world, and to the Negro, to sweep from place and power those who are thus derelict in the discharge of their place in the government, who will not enforce the constitutional right of every class of American citizen. I'm a Republican. I believe in the Republican Party. My political hopes for the future of the colored people are enforced in the character and composition, and the wisdom and justice, and the courage and fidelity of the Republican Party. I am unable to see how any honest and intelligent colored man can be a Democrat or play fast and loose between the two parties. But while I am a Republican and believe in the party, I dare to tell that party the truth. In my judgment, it can no longer repose on the history of its grand and magnificent achievements. It must not only stand abreast with the times, but it must create the times. Its power and greatness consisted in this at the beginning. It was in advance of the times and made the times when it abolished the slave trade between the states, when it emancipated the slaves of the District of Columbia, when it stemmed the bloody tide of disunion, when it abolished slavery in all the states, when it made the Negro a soldier and a citizen, when it conceded to him the elective franchise, and now, in my judgment, the strength, success, and glory of the Republican Party will be found in its holding this advanced position. It must not stand still or take any step backward. Its mission is to lead, not to follow, to make circumstances, not to be made by them. It is held and firmly bound by every sentiment of justice and honor to make a living fact out of the dead letter of the constitutional amendments. It must make the path of the black citizen to the ballot box as safe and smooth as that of the white citizen. It must make it impossible for a man like James Russell Lowell to say he sees no difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. If it fails to do all this, I, for one, shall welcome the bolt, which shall scatter it into 1,000 fragments.
I would never say, and I have never said, because it's not true, that Republicans, all Republicans, are racist. That would be silly and wrong. But nowadays, if you are racist, you're probably a Republican.
rights laws were designed to protect blacks from Democrats, from Democrat laws, from Democrat segregators, from Democrat governors, and Democrats in the White House wouldn't protect them. That's why we have civil rights laws. From that, you get the anti-discrimination laws and the sexual harassment laws. Now you got liberal women using laws to protect blacks in order to attack conservative blacks with these vicious, outrageous charges. It absolutely is, and it's coming from the exact same people who used to do the lynching with ropes. Now they do it with a word processor.
In the Democratic Party.
Yes. Yes, we had to have national federal civil rights laws to protect blacks from Democrats, as described in a full chapter in my book, Demonic, giving a revisionist history to their revisionist history of civil rights in this country. It was always Democrats.
The latest polls out today show that the Democrat in the race, Ed Markey, is out way ahead. So there's lots going on in today's news, but we have to start tonight in Montana, at the headquarters of an organization that likes to think of itself as America's think tank for the white nationalist movement. They don't like to say white supremacist, apparently. They like to say white nationalist. They think it sounds better. You can judge for yourself.
Who stands for us? Have you ever wondered, why isn't there an organization that works for us? From African Americans to illegal immigrants, from lesbians to left-handers, every ethnic and interest group has its own lobby or cultural foundation. The exception, of course, is white Americans, our country's historic majority and founding population, the people that bears the unique heritage of Europe, Christianity, cultural excellence, and the scientific awakening. And there are also our peculiar folkways, holidays, traditions, and customs that make us both uniquely European and uniquely American. Only we are who we are. So again, why isn't there an organization that has our interest at heart?
So this is the white supremacist the white nationalist think tank group. They call themselves the National Policy Institute. Their slogan, you can see at the top there, for our people, our culture, our future. And when they say our, they are being really specific about who they mean.
As long as whites continue to avoid and deny their own racial identity, at a time when almost every other racial and ethnic category is rediscovering and asserting its own, whites will have no chance to resist their dispossession. This is our challenge. This is our calling. Won't you join us?